to make sure that there was fairness, that there was no cheating. Isn't that what we were told the Iraq War was about? To make sure there was no cheating. To cheat in Spanish, for those of you who speak Spanish, en ganar. En ganar. What does cheat mean? Well, it comes from the French and the Latin to defraud. To defraud. And so now we see that the $1 trillion or $3 trillion that was spent for the war in Iraq, which was not really about giving them the right to vote. It was about contracts. It was about stealing money out of the Treasury for Halliburton and the friends of the Bush family. And now we find out, years later, that we don't even have a fair vote in Colorado. Welcome to the show. We've had one call after another from individuals in Colorado who tell us that they were delegates and they were dismissed prior to the final tally on who to select because they were for Trump. They were not selected as a delegate. And it was mainly women pecking at women like in a chicken coop. It was like chickens of a certain variety pecking at another chicken saying, get out of the coop because you're not for our guy. And it was fun. I'm sorry to tell you this, by what I'm hearing, you want to hear it on the inside? It was fundamentally Pentecostal Christians who were fanatical for Cruz, who pecked away all the other women who were not for the Pentecostal favorite son. Now, if you feel that system is fair, I pity you. So all I can say is I pity you if you're now supporting such a rigged system. Then you're no different than the Democrats, the socialists, the communists, the progressives that you claim to despise so much. But the real onus is not on you, the people. The onus is on Ted Cruz. Again, let me say this. The headline on Drudge says it all. It's the lead story. Savage says Cruz should disavow rigged election. And I'm saying it again. He should disavow the rigged Colorado Republican backroom deal as not befitting a free republic and demand a true primary. Agree or disagree? And I will repeat again, if Ted Cruz did that, if he said we want a true primary, I'm disavowing this because if the people were not allowed to vote, he might win by a landslide because people who were for Trump say, you know, this guy is really clean. This guy is great. He's a real leader. I trust now that he is a constitutionalist. So, why is he not doing it? Now carry it to the next step. What if 50 states went to a no-voter situation that was rigged like Colorado? Is that something you'd want? You'd want no primaries in America? Is that what you're calling for now? Michael Savage to Cruz renounced Colorado result. This is a corrupt, rotten system. It's a one-party system. It's demagoguery. There is no two-party system. This is the same system that selected Obama. They are now selecting Hillary Clinton. Make no mistake about it. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? It's Talk Radio. KVOR. Joanne, way up there in the Colorado Springs area. Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Joanne from Peyton, Colorado, and I'm a new resident, so I wasn't really familiar with the ruling, but I agree with you 100%. It was totally unfair the way they ran the primaries. But more than that, I just want to share with the American people that I don't understand why they can't see that career politicians are not going to change Washington. They need to get behind Donald Trump, who's from a private sector.
Well, hold on now. See, I don't want to turn this into a Trump rally. That's not what this show is about. This is about a democracy rally on the Savage Nation. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not because I want Trump to win in Colorado. I want an election to occur in the Republican primary. And then I want to see who really wins. And it didn't happen. What you had was a closed-door meeting with people who support Cruz, eliminating those who supported Trump in the beginning, and now they're saying it was free and open. It wasn't free and open. That's the issue, Joanne, don't you see?
The system is trying to run it. They're trying to...
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, and I thank you very much for calling the Savage Nation. 855-400-7282. We got tons of open lines. So many other stories I haven't gotten to, but I guess we'll have to wait for tomorrow to get to the Pope. I'll get to defending Bill Clinton when he stood up to the mobs, the thugs in Black Lives Matter. Bill Clinton stood out there and showed himself to be at least a man, and he didn't let them shout him down. And the next day he said basically he's sorry. The Hillary people shut him up, and he apologized for the incident in one way or another. I'm sure he didn't, next he'll claim that he had senility or something or dementia, and he's very sorry for it. It's very sad. So that was a big story. Traveling Pope is a story. With Henry Kissinger, we had shuttle diplomacy. With Pope Francis, we have shuttle hypocrisy. The new Pope says, if it feels good, do it. Why not do it in the road? He's the Beatles of the papacy. And I say to that, what's the point of religion without morality? You see, I never like going to reform churches or synagogues, in my case. I don't like that. I want red lights, and I want yellow lights, and I want green lights from the pulpit. I don't really want Woody Allen up there with a yarmulke telling me to have a bagel and then go home and do what I want. What's the point of going there? I could watch HBO for that. So I never liked it. That's why I walked out of the synagogue, then I would go to churches. I saw the same thing. Same garbage. Everyone became so passive.
Every year, thousands of Long Islanders are hurt or injured in auto accidents, falls, medical malpractice, and other negligence. Who speaks for the injured, and who will fight for you if you've been hurt? Simon & Simon, Long Island's #1 personal injury law.
Accepting that there was no point to religion. I'm the kind of guy that in religion I like fire and brimstone. I like it in any religion. I like fire and brimstone. This is the way it is. These are the rules. Same in politics. I'm a fire and brimstone guy. I want rules. And I don't want the rules rigged in advance, and then they say that's the rules. Don't you understand? They rigged the rules and then said these are the rules, and we're following the rules. That's called rigging the rules. How do I know I'm right? Because the people didn't vote. That's how. So you want rules now that disenfranchise millions of voters. Great. Then move to North Korea. They have a perfect system. Oh, it's not cheating, it's winning. Great. That's the new line now. It's not cheating, it's winning. I never saw anything like this. Listen, all I can say to you is this: you have to judge for yourself what you think, not what I think, not what anyone else tells you to think. Ask yourself if you want to live in a nation where the average voter is disenfranchised. I don't care how you put, oh, well, we had rules that were changed, that you didn't know about, it's too bad. Is that the country you want to live in, where the rules are changed and behind closed doors with rigged systems? Isn't that what you're trying to get away from? Aren't we complaining with Ted Cruz that he's going to come here and change the corrupt system run by career politicians? Well, this was rigged by career politicians. Robert, isn't that the point? Isn't that what we're saying here? Ted Cruz claims he's not a career politician. Yet if he doesn't disavow what happened in Colorado, he is a career politician who rigged the system and used the rigged system to beat his opponent, in plain English. So if we had a fair election, would there be this much anger right now? Again, Trump lost some primaries. There was no anger afterwards. There was disappointment, but no one screamed, I'm ripping up my Republican card, I'm not going to vote. It's hopeless. No one said that because they saw a primary. People went out, they stood in line, they voted. So at least I voted. But no, they didn't vote here. That's why so many people are very unhappy today. So there it is, my friends. There it is, my friends. This is what goes on when you have a corrupt career political system. Ted Cruz is part of that system. As I told you, he's an insider. Look, I said it for weeks now. He's a sitting senator. How do you become a senator? He knows how to work the system. So he's working the system. You can say, good for him. Well, is that what you want now? More of the same? So what's the difference between him and anyone else? How does he differ from Romney then? Well, because he says that he likes the Constitution? Then why doesn't he uphold the Constitution? Why doesn't he uphold one man, one vote if he's such a great constitutionalist? So that's what we're talking about. I think it's a very, very important topic. This is fraud. This is total fraud. KVOR, we're getting flooded with callers out of Colorado on the Savage Nation. I thank God that Cumulus has me on this great station up in Colorado Springs, because you're hearing it from the grassroots level what actually went on. Nick, on KVOR, what did you see happening up there?
Michael, thanks for picking up. Ted Cruz recently banked Colorado for what was the first voterless victory in a primary and caucus season. I'm calling to address the spineless guy who called in the first hour from Colorado who actually got the vote. There's an uprising, and people in Colorado are pissed.
So what you said at first was Ted Cruz won the first voterless election in history. Is that what you're saying?
In the primary and caucus season this year, he had the first voterless victory.
That's interesting.
And
He's won the first voterless victory. He's achieved the first voterless victory in the primary caucus system in Colorado history. So they changed the rules in advance for him, is what you're saying.
They changed the rules this year. I'm actually from Atlanta, so I've been here for 2 years, and I've been trying to find out a way how to vote. It's incredibly hard to find information on this. I searched for weeks online.
Well, this is exactly what Bernie Sanders is saying. It's a rigged system against him. Sanders says he's an outsider. He wants to shake up the system. He doesn't want career politicians. He wins in states and loses the delegates. Isn't that what just happened in Colorado, in a way, to Donald Trump? We don't know, though. See, we don't know. Trump could lose fair and square. If it was a primary that was truly a primary, Trump could lose. So why doesn't Ted Cruz, who is so fair and square, call for a primary if he's so sure that he won? See, this is what I want to know. If all of you Cruz supporters are so sure that he won, are you saying by all means necessary? Is that what I'm hearing from you? Am I hearing from the Cruz people that by all means necessary works? Is that what you're saying? If it feels good, do it? And no matter how you win, it's okay? Then how do you differ from so-called corrupt progressives? How? How do you differ from them? I'm trying to have you think. You don't have to like Trump to like democracy. How many different ways must I say the same thing? This is not a democratic process when you change the rules in advance and you disenfranchise hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of voters. And if I were wrong, there would not be such an outcry in Colorado and across America. And we would not be having this debate on this show today. And the reason there is this debate and the reason there is this outcry is because America deserves better than this. Back in a second on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUI-SEA. Think very carefully. Don't be the little people that they want you to be. In other words, the useful idiots that Lenin wrote about, because they occur on both sides of the aisle. If you're going to sit here and say that that's fine, this is the system, you're wrong, the Constitution doesn't require that there be a vote, they can do it any way they want, the rules were there, Trump should have been there. Okay, so then Cruz wins, he goes to the convention, and they knock him out of the box in Cleveland, and they say, we're putting in Paul Ryan. What are you going to say then? You're going to sit there and look at yourself and say, my God, I was wrong, I should have listened to Savage? That should be open to the voters, not to the party players? Do you understand what I am saying to you? Can you follow the logic of what I am saying to you, and can you see where this goes? No, you can't, because you're blinded by your own victory. Someone wrote this,
See, what he's saying is if they can do it in Colorado, they'll do it at the national convention, and there have been rumors and not even rumors, actual Republicans with power, with national power, saying that's what they're going to do. They're going to ignore Trump and Cruz and put in Ryan or Romney. So he said, will you complain when they do it? Because you're all for Cruz, so you're overlooking what they're doing in Colorado. Well, if they do it to Cruz in the national convention, what, are you going to be complaining then? How can you complain in the national convention if you didn't complain in the Colorado convention? So he's saying, most of them are born-again Christians, you know. Look at what you're setting yourself up for by not complaining about this.
Wonderful lesson the GOP in Colorado is teaching children. If you want to win, just keep changing the rules until you do. Don't worry, it's okay just as long as you follow those rules or until you need to change them again. Another one writes this. The man called and said that her husband was a retired member of the Army. He applied to be a delegate in Colorado. He was told he was not chosen. After the decision to cancel the primary and support Cruz, he went to the Republican Party's webpage to only learn that he was a delegate. He said the communist liars at the primary offices purposely did not inform him he was a delegate to avoid him possibly voting against Cruz and manipulating their unanimous income. This is what's called a fixed election. It's not about Trump or Cruz. It's about a fair primary election. So tell me what's the difference between Hillary Clinton's rigging the system against Bernie Sanders and the Republican Party rigging the system against Donald Trump? And listen to what I'm saying to you again. Colorado is a dress rehearsal for the Republican corruption machine in Cleveland. When they bypass the voters, they'll knock out Cruz or whoever they don't like, and they'll pick somebody who will lose to Hillary. What are you going to do then? Say that it's fair, that's how it works? That there's nothing in the Constitution that says that they have to follow the voters? Is that what you're going to say then? Because if that's what you're going to say then you better rethink what you're saying today. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to like Trump to like democracy. 855-407-282. And many of you are so stupid you're writing things like, oh, there's no constitutional right of the vote in a primary. Stop crying because it's not Trump. That's not what it's about. Can you please get the tattoos off your cerebrum? The tattoo ink apparently went through your skin and poisoned your brain. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? It doesn't matter whether it was Trump or Cruz. It was corrupt, period. KLIF, online. Wade, welcome. What's on your mind? Fire away.
Yeah, I just want to say, I went to the district's process with this GOP establishment thing over 3 weeks ago. And we all, lined up and proceeded to, sit at the different tables at the cafeteria with regards to the districts, sitting there thinking that, we would have a chance to, lay out a vote for a particular candidate. And since, somebody got up on their soapbox and told us, look, you aren't voting for anybody. You are sending 2 people from each of your districts to this situation.
Oh, well, okay, so they lied to you about the process. Did they knock people out if they didn't think they were going to support a certain candidate? Sorry, I don't know. We didn't get the answer that I need. Look, folks, when you get on the show, punch it.
Savage.
So this is the most telling point in the entire campaign thus far. We reach a point where rules are established behind closed doors. No one knows what the rules are. And one of the Republican candidates wins, who's favored by many people. They're attacking everyone who says the rules were changed and it basically disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of millions of voters, and they're screaming, you don't know how it works. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. All of a sudden now they're lecturing you about the Constitution. A standard fallback line for screwing people over. We know what a vote means. Stop telling us we don't know what voting means. We're not that stupid. One man, one vote. That's what it means. We don't live in North Korea or communist China. But now suddenly you're supporting a system, a rigged system. Hey, if Ted Cruz was as clean as he says he is, he would disavow this rigged system today. He says it's not befitting a free Republican to demand a true primary. That'd be the end of the story. He'd probably win in a landslide if he stood up and showed himself to be better than the system. But he's showing himself to be the system. Isn't he showing himself to be part of the system he claims to oppose? He's upholding rules and legalese. He's holding a legal trick up as a standard bearer for what should come in America. Well, let's see what happens down in Cleveland, down the line, if he should be the nominee. Let's say he wins. Let's say he wins. Good luck to him. And the convention comes down there in Cleveland, and then the party officials do to him what was just done to Trump. What is he going to say then? Well, that's the system. We're not a democracy. Well, we're a republic, and this is how it works in a republic. I accept the fact that votes don't mean anything. I accept the fact that the party apparatchiks make the decision. I like that, because I'm Ted Cruz, and I believe in this message. You think he's going to say that? You think all of you haters out there who are Ted... By the way, I've never seen such hatred coming at my Facebook page as I see coming from Cruz followers. Why is that? There's almost more hatred from Cruz supporters than there is from Hillary supporters on my Facebook page. Why is that? Why are there such fanatics on the Cruz side? Can anyone explain that? I would have thought you people were better than that. What's happened to you? Well, anyway, I'll let you figure that one out. So you go on to the Drudge Report, and whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree. It really doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that you should understand that Drudge sets the tone for what follows in the media. Yes, it's that simple. He determines what the news is, and it's picked up by television, radio, newspapers. He picks it up. He decides what the headlines are. Then they follow. So what is he saying? Headline, bold headline, firestorm after voterless victory in Colorado, Cruz wins all. top of the page. Savage says Cruz should disavow rigged election. Next article. Limbaugh says it's not cheating, it's winning. Buchanan says apparatchiks thieve delegates for Ted. Republicans cancel presidential election in Colorado. Voters burning registrations in protest. 1 million Republicans sidelined. GOP made big mistake. Border Patrol agents are saying Colorado voters...
Every year, thousands of Long Islanders are hurt or injured in
He made big mistake. Border Patrol agents are saying Colorado voters disenfranchised. So all of you Cruz supporters who think you're supporting, let's say, democracy and a better America, Border Patrol agents demand GOP provide free, fair, and open elections in America. They're challenging the Colorado GOP for not holding a state primary and instead slating delegates most favorable to Trump's rival Senator Ted Cruz. That's the National Border Patrol Council. These are the people you supported yesterday. Now what are you going to say to them? They're a bunch of idiots? They don't know how a constitutional republic works? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Can't you see what I'm saying to you? You don't have to like Donald Trump to like one man, one vote. So, if you don't want to support one man, one vote, go ahead and live in North Korea. You'll be very happy. Firestorm after voterless victory in Colorado. Cruz wins all. Now, what's interesting is if you look below the major headline in the Drudge Report, there are 2 links to what Ted Cruz said about Drudge. In January, Cruz, when interviewed by a midstream media reporter, said, Cruz said, we've got the Drudge Report on his side. In April, Cruz turned around and said, Drudge no longer covers the news. That's Cruz. So Cruz flip-flopped on Matt Drudge because he wasn't supporting him, therefore he was no good. So who is the real Ted Cruz? Where does he really stand? So we have a problem on our hands because what's going to happen is if we don't... See, here's what's happening. The Republican Party is testing you today in Colorado. If they feel that there's really no protest over what they just did in Colorado, which is bypass the voters, and they're using, well, we had the rules, we changed the rules, you should have known about it, Trump should have been there. If there's no outcry, if there's no riots, if there's no rebellion, they're going to do to Cruz what they just did to Trump. They're testing you right now. What did we used to say in the early days of terrorism in America, a trial run? How did we put it? When Muslims would get up and act out on airplanes. You remember what you would say? Do you remember it? You don't remember those days. 4, 5, 6 Muslim men would get on a plane, and then they wouldn't listen to instructions. They'd take their seatbelts off and run around and chant Allah Akbar, and they wouldn't do anything wrong. And then they would sit down. You say, well, they were just doing a dry run, right? To see what they can get away with. Do you remember those days or don't you? Raise your hand if you remember those days. This is a dry run for Cleveland. The party apparatchiks in the corrupt Republican Party, which you claim you hate, are testing you to see in this dry run whether you'll riot or whether you'll disavow the Republican Party. And if you don't, they're going to screw Ted Cruz in Cleveland. Mark my words. Those of you who are hating me today will come back to remember what I said to you today. And you'll come to understand that you don't have to love Trump to love one man, one vote. Do you understand that? Phone number 855-407-282. Mike, KSFO Online, go ahead, please.
What I want to talk about is I was an Arapahoe County delegate, and I wasn't going to state, but I went to the county convention, and that was fair and fine. I didn't get invited to the state. I called my precinct leaders to get information about going to the state convention. I called her multiple times. They've not gotten a call back. Now, at my caucus on March 1st, I was the lone guy that raised my hand for Trump. So everybody knew I was a Trump supporter. And I'm pretty sure that's why she's not calling me back.
Well, there it is. That's what we heard.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we heard. They pre-selected who the delegates would be. So, how many people in Colorado do you think were disenfranchised?
If I was to put a realistic number on it, we'd say 53, 54%, because that's typically what Trump is winning.
Okay. Pat Buchanan is writing what I just said, and I did not read the article to know exactly what's going to happen. Will Trump be swindled in Cleveland too? Well, they could thieve delegates against Cruz also. So my friends, what is happening today in Colorado, where all 34 delegates were given to Ted Cruz, and you're sitting there supporting it because you support Ted Cruz, you really shouldn't be supporting the system that does not allow people to vote. This is what I'm trying to say to you. How could you support not voting? Well, okay, I guess what's missing here is, this is almost like a baseball thing to me now. I'm starting to see that most people are stupid. Most people, I've been told this by a couple of people who say to me, Savage, you talk at a certain level, and some people get it, but most of them are really kind of at a different level. They're at a level of a baseball game. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Democrat, socialist bad, Republicans good. Cruz good, Trump a fraud. They only want to vote for, it's like a ball game to them. The A's versus the B's. And they said to me, you think, you give too much credit to your audience. I said, well, I don't have to talk down to them to talk to them. I don't have to pander to the lowest common denominator to have an audience. I don't really have to pander to the uneducated people who are just knee-jerk conservatives in order to have an audience. Those days are long gone. This is no longer 1996, where I have to stand outside of McDonald's with a red nose on and honking a horn to say that I'm a great Republican or a great man or this and that to have an audience. I don't have to do that. And I've reached a point where I have to express to you what I think, as I've done from the beginning. There's really no difference between what I said then and what I say now. And so if you're supporting now rigging a system to get your candidate elected and you think that's a good thing, you have to reevaluate whether that's really a good thing, whether that's a healthy thing, whether that's a country you want to live in. I don't. I don't like living in a system that's rigged by a political party, by party apparatchiks. It's a corrupt system, which you've known for a long time. See, if we've all known the system is rigged and corrupt, right, we all wanted an outsider. Do you remember what happened when you voted back in the midterm elections? Who were you voting against? You were voting against Obama, but you were also voting against the very same system that just did this to Donald Trump. The very same corruption that just did this to Trump, the closed system, the behind-the-room, smoky room deals. Do you understand? You follow what I'm saying? You were voting against it. You wanted an outsider to come along to clean up Washington. Let's start from the top. Let's put aside whether you love Cruz or you don't, or you love Trump or hate him. Let's put that aside. What is it that you really want? You want the corruption gone. You want an outsider to come in and clean up the system, right? So now if you see a corrupt system right here in Colorado, how can you not see it?
Seems smooth, doesn't it? The way the ice skates.
Corrupt system right here in Colorado. How can you not see it for what it is? Don't tell me they changed the rules and Trump should have known it. That's called a corrupt system. Telling you that the rules were there, you should have known them. That's the kind of crap you hear from a sleazy lawyer. Lawyers pull that crap on you day and night. You should have known the law. When I was 18, I went before a judge. I had gone through a red light, Queens, New York. And I said, Judge, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. I thought that red meant then, and yellow meant that. He said, ignorance of the law is no excuse, slam $50. So I know what the system is like. I get it. We don't want that system when it comes to voting. We don't want to be disenfranchised. We keep hearing from the Democrats that it's very hard to vote in America. Obama keeps putting this big lie out. Hard to vote in America. The Republicans have made it difficult to vote in America. It's disenfranchising blacks and minorities. We hear it. And we know it's a bunch of a crock, okay? In plain English. Well, now we wake up and the Republicans are doing the same thing. They're making it very hard to vote in Colorado. And by the way, when Cleveland comes around and they don't like the candidate, they're probably going to put in some stooge like Paul Ryan. And then what are you going to do when the system is shown to be what it is? The system is corrupt. I've told you that from the day I started in radio in 1994. Who defined it as Democrats and Republicans? You're listening to him. Who said it's an oligarchy before anyone else did in radio? I did. Who said to you it's a two-card Monte with only one P under the shell? I did. Actually, it was three shells and one P. There was no P under the shells. Remember those guys in New York who used to do that back in the day of the meltdown of Manhattan? When you get the guys playing fake card games in the streets for the people going by. They're trying to get you to get into a card game. It was all rigged. That's how he made a living. He was a card cheater. So now you're seeing cheating right in front of your eyes, and you're saying it's not cheating because they should have known the rules. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that that's the kind of system you want to live in, where rules can be changed to the, let us say, advancement of any candidate? Well, they're going to do it in Cleveland then, and what are you going to say then? What are you going to do if the party apparatchiks who just did this to Trump in Colorado do this in Cleveland to Ted Cruz? Let's say Ted Cruz becomes the nominee, that Trump is finished or he's knocked out to your wildest dreams, and old Ted Cruz is the nominee, and he gets to Cleveland, and they don't want him there. They want Paul Ryan or some other front man, another stooge like, who knows, whoever they pick. Are you going to say that's okay because they changed the rules? Be careful what you're saying today, because it will come back to haunt you tomorrow. I'm Michael Savage. Be here or be nowhere.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800. She writes, if I wanted a government which decides for we the people, I would be living in Cuba or North Korea. This isn't winning, it's shamefully corrupt. That's what she wrote. It's not about Trump, it's not about Cruz, it's about the system. And if Cruz is supposedly going to end the corruption in the system, then why is he supporting the corruption in Colorado? Now, I know many of you naive people will argue it's not corruption, the rules were changed illegally and legitimately, and Trump should have known it, and if Trump had won, you wouldn't be saying this. That's not the issue. The issue is voting or not voting. And as someone said, this is exactly what lawyers do. Cruz is fighting this like it is a court case against someone who is representing himself in a court of law. That's what they're saying about Cruz. Don't think this is helping Cruz, by the way. It's hurting Cruz. And many of you hate Trump, I get it. You don't like him. But that's not the point, idiots! It's not about supporting Trump. It's about supporting one man, one vote. I've been an independent conservative for 20 years or more. I've never been a member of the Republican Party. I was never a member of the Democrat Party. Even when I was a kid, I refused to join a party. I always knew that it was run by insiders. I hated insiders. I never liked them in high school. I didn't like them in college. I didn't like them in the general election. I don't like people who try to represent me. I want to represent me when it comes down to voting. You know, it's bad enough that for 4 years at a time we have no democracy. We have a dictatorship. Remember I said to you on this show many times over the years that we have a dictatorship punctured by democracy every 4 years? It's a great remark. Well, now we have democracy in action. And here we see democracy being stolen by a bunch of party operatives. And you're supporting it saying, well, look, those are the rules. And I'm happy because I support Ted Cruz. But it's bigger than Ted Cruz, isn't it? Because what goes around comes around, as the hippies used to say in the 60s. Corrupt Republican Party get away with this in Colorado. What are you going to do when they do it to your candidate of choice in Cleveland downstream? Are you going to sit there and say, well, that's okay, they changed the rules and they have the right to change the rules? I don't think you'd say that then. So think this through. Try not to be a kind of a limited citing law. This is about voting, not about how the law is written to make sure you don't vote. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act, said George Orwell. I'm Michael Savage. Be here or be nowhere.
I think that we should have a little discussion, because this puts you to sleep before we start Rush Limbaugh. If no one, does anyone have anything to say? If not, I can say a few things. If you want to leave the cameras like that, I can talk off camera. It's easier for you. Yeah, I get it. So we should start another file because Rush Limbaugh is going to be long.
Okay. Start another file or just when Rush starts? Start another.
I'd like to start the new, because I'm going to be talking about Rush, so I'd like to start the new
Okay.
file.